Milwaukee city leaders say they're facing a financial crisis, but that hasn't stopped them from pursuing a major expansion of the HOP streetcar.
FOX6 investigator Brian Polson is here in studio with the records of the $350 million plan that no one told you about.
That's right, Steph. And Ben, Mayor Tom Barrett resigned in 2021 to become U.S. ambassador to Luxembourg. And a few weeks later, a city engineer emailed a potential streetcar vendor wondering what direction the new mayor would take. Now, that mayor, Cavalier Johnson, says the city is in danger of going bankrupt, but he still plans to expand the streetcar to Fiserv Forum and beyond. Sometimes forward progress is halted.
And all of a sudden I see the road blocked off.
By roadblocks.
And I'm just like, what? What is going on?
Like the garbage truck that pulled in front of a downtown streetcar in March, just before the two vehicles collided.
The streetcar operator herself was taken to Freighter Hospital.
Fortunately, no passengers were hurt. Then again, there weren't any passengers on board.
It doesn't go many places, so I do not ride the streetcar.
Nearly 5 years and one pandemic after it first opened for service, the HOP streetcar is struggling to regain the brief popularity it enjoyed in its early months.
Part of a larger picture.
When former Mayor Tom Barrett announced rides would be free for the first year, thanks to a $10 million sponsorship from Potawatomi Casino.
People like it. People use it.
It's still free today, but the pandemic virtually wiped out ridership, and it still hasn't fully recovered. So Barrett's successor, Mayor Cavalier Johnson, looks for encouragement in a milestone.
We're approaching right now 2 million rides on the streetcar since the system opened.
2 million passengers over 54 months. An average of 1,200 riders per day. That's less than originally projected, and that assumed passengers would be paying $1 each to hop on board.
To think what would happen if we ever tried to actually charge for the hop, there would be probably literally nobody on it.
Mike Nichols is president of the Badger Institute, a champion of limited government and a longtime critic of the streetcar.
A slow motion boondoggle.
But it's not just people like him complaining.
Transportation works because people need to go places. It has to go somewhere.
Some streetcar supporters say the current 2-mile loop doesn't go far enough, like Lenora Jules.
I don't necessarily need to go from the Greyhound station or the post office just to Milwaukee Public Market.
And her mother, Lucille.
From there to there, what's the point?
And that's why the commissioner of Milwaukee's Department of City Development wants to make the streetcar system 3 times bigger.
That's been the vision since we started talking about a streetcar in the city of Milwaukee, and that remains the vision.
In March, Mayor Johnson told me he had more important things to think about.
Where is talk right now of extensions for the streetcar system?
I haven't really had the time to focus in on specific streetcar extensions. I'm so focused right now on making sure that we can have the resources necessary to fund our police, to fund our fire department, to make sure that we keep libraries open, to make sure that we continue to collect the trash.
But more than 1,000 emails obtained by the FOX6 investigators show the department that collects the trash has never stopped planning for streetcar extensions.
DPW wants expansion of the streetcar. We want people from the community to actually go from their neighborhood house and access downtown to get to jobs.
Jarrell Kruschke is Commissioner of Public Works.
I'm a happy guy.
And shortly after Mayor Barrett resigned to take a U.S. ambassadorship in December of 2021, Kruschke, then a city engineer, wrote to the head of a local engineering firm that streetcar discussions had stalled. He was uncertain what direction the new mayor would take. In February of 2022, Kruschke compiled a list of stimulus bill candidates for President Biden's $1 trillion infrastructure plan. Among them, more than $500 million in paving projects, $110 million for streetlights, and $353 million for streetcar extensions, including $77 million to get to Fiserv Forum, $122 million to go further north into Bronzeville, and $154 million to go south into Walker's Point.
How can you do $353 million of streetcar expansion with all those other needs?
So there's different pots of money from the FTA, or if it comes from the surface transportation funding from paving or local dollars. It's a challenge, and we don't have the answer to that yet.
The stimulus funding never came to fruition. But on April 13th of 2022, the same day Mayor Johnson was inaugurated, city officials applied for $25 million in federal funding for a 1/4 mile of track to the convention center. They didn't get the money, In fact, since 2009, Milwaukee has requested federal streetcar assistance 13 times and received it only once. A $14 million grant for the long-delayed lakefront line that will eventually connect to the Couture high-rise.
All of these expansions are dependent on federal money that doesn't exist.
But when it comes to roadblocks,
Milwaukee is at a critical crossroads.
streetcar enthusiasts may be facing the biggest one yet.
I don't hear much talk about the streetcar prohibition in the media.
The city's new downtown plan for 2040 calls on leaders to work aggressively to secure funding for streetcar extensions. But in Madison, Republicans are trying to block the city from using local tax incentives to pay for it.
That does shut it down, because that is the way we would fund the local share of a federal grant.
It's one small part of the shared revenue deal Mayor Johnson negotiated.
There are disagreements. That certainly is one.
And Milwaukee Alderman Bob Bauman thinks he knows who put it in there.
A pretty educated guess would be a former alderman, who's now a state representative.
I certainly am not going to take credit for that being in there.
Bob Donovan opposed the streetcar's expansion when he ran for mayor in 2022.
My cardiologist advised me not to discuss the streetcar. All right.
He lost the mayor's race, then won a seat in the state assembly.
You don't double down on failure.
Now, Mayor Johnson is asking Donovan and his fellow Republicans in the Capitol to help Milwaukee stave off a budgetary crisis.
Severe cuts, devastating cuts.
They're coming to the state, hat in hand, saying we can't pave our streets, we can't hire cops and firefighters, we can't do this, we can't do that, but yet they somehow are committed to expanding a streetcar. Just doesn't make sense to me.
Yes, there are headwinds right now.
In spite of the looming fiscal cliff, Mayor Johnson says streetcar extensions are coming someday.
We're going to expand it.
Wonderful idea, yeah.
Lucille says she'll believe it
They said that 4 years ago, and still waiting.
when the tracks are in the ground.
I would tell Lucille that it is still our plan to do that.
It would be a great idea, but it's promises, promises.
At the moment, the only streetcar extension that's actually paid for is the so-called lakefront line, which will connect to the 44-story Couture high-rise across from Discovery World. DPW says they expect that to open to passenger service by Halloween.
So the city has tried and failed to get federal funding many times for this expansion. Are they going to try again this year?
They are not. I talked to the DPW commissioner last month, and he said they didn't apply this year because the federal transit program they had been targeting, the so-called RAISE grant program, has shifted to other types of public transit. And plus, to apply, you kind of need to show you can come up with a local match. And as we showed, that's been a problem.
You showed this is still free. Do we know if the city starts to plan on ever having a fare?
You know, Mayor Barrett long told me that that was always the plan. He intended to charge a fare eventually, but the city never bought fare boxes. Tomorrow night, we're going to show you why the streetcar could remain free forever, what city leaders say about that, and how you could soon pay the price if you drive your car downtown. That's coming up here tomorrow night.
Looking forward to it, Brian. Thank you.
All right.
Got it.
Thanks.